So I've had some people ask me how I go about cleaning aluminum when it's dirty or oxidized, and I thought I'd kind of do a video and show you guys, what I do and the steps I take, what you can, what I don't think you should do, things like that. This is an old piece of tread plate I found. It's pretty rough. It's got a lot of oxidation on it. I'm gonna kind of go through here and show you guys how I would clean it, what I would do, and the steps I would take. I've seen a lot of, there's a lot of companies out there that make good grinding wheels and stuff like that. I don't ever like to use a grinding wheel on aluminum unless I'm knocking a weld down real quick. And then, before I will ever weld on that weld again, I would go back with a carbide burr, a heavy fluted burr, and I would run that over it and make sure that none of that wheel's embedded in the aluminum pores, because I've seen people, have a lot of problems with that. So I kind of thought we'd set this up and I would show you guys, I'm gonna run several passes on here. And the first pass we're gonna run, we're not gonna clean it at all. We're just gonna weld over it. Just let the cleaning action of the machine do its thing and see how good it welds. And then we'll go down through. I'm gonna show you guys how I would clean it with the machine and then weld over top of that. And then I'll show you some of the steps I take to clean it and what I've found works pretty good. I know like guys that weld pontoon boats and things like that, you get a lot of real heavy oxides on the surface that can be really hard. And a lot of times, you either have to burr that with a carbide burr, or a lot of times I'll use like a Tiger wheel, flat disc, whatever you want to call them. Seems to work pretty good, and you don't get a lot of contamination in the welds from these. But what I normally do is I would wipe this off with acetone, give it a good heavy wire brushing, and weld it. And 9 times out of 10 that seems to work pretty good for me. But we'll go ahead and we'll set this up and do some demonstrations here and show you guys what happens. So as you guys can see there, that's pretty dirty. Got a lot of pepper in the puddle, which is just junk. The etch zone's very small. It's just not a very good looking weld. That was 30% electrode positive on the balance, which is normally my go-to. So what I'm gonna do here is, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take the torch, and I'm gonna run the torch over this and let the cleaning action just clean an area here, and then we'll weld it and we'll see how much better that looks than what this turned out like. What I've found works the best with this is just running a lot lower amperage when you're cleaning it. If say you're running full pedal on that, you'd probably only run about half pedal on this, and you're just going to kind of run up and back and just clean that. You'll be able to see it cleaning it as you're just running over it. So you guys can see there, that puddle is a lot cleaner. It's still not a pretty weld, but what I've done in the past too is I would run that cleaning action over that and burn all that junk off. And then I would just take and I would wire brush that. It seems like a lot of that junk will come off when you do that. So this next pass I'm going to do here, I'm going to let this cool down, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe it off with some acetone, put a little acetone on there, let it sit, and then, you know, wipe it off and see how that one welds. So we got that one cleaned with the acetone. Wiped it down pretty heavy there. It did clean it up some. So we're going to go ahead and run this pass now. This piece is cool. So see how it goes. So that didn't weld too bad. Still, the puddle doesn't want to flow. It doesn't want to wet in real nice. It just kind of feels like you're forcing it, like it wants to lay on top of the material. So this next one here, we're going to let this cool down again. I'm going to acetone this area, and then I'm going to wire brush it, and we're going to see how that does. I always like to acetone it first, because if you got any oils or grease or anything on the surface, you're going to get it off with the acetone, and then, you know, you're not smearing that into your brush and smearing that into the pores of the aluminum. On aluminum that's heavily oxidized, you can actually feel the brush as it digs through the oxide layer. And you can see it plain as day there, how the oxide layer is this uglier color and the cleaner aluminum's the clean aluminum underneath that. So now we're just going to weld this like normal. We're not going to do anything special. We're just going to weld it like I normally would and see what happens. So that one there welded pretty clean. It's still a little bit weird. Still kind of not wanting to wet in real good. Still a little bit rougher there, but what we'll do is we're going to do one more here, and I'm actually going to sand this surface with the DA and wire brush, acetone it, we'll DA it, and then we'll wire brush it, and we'll see how this one here welds. Okay, so we acetoned that, we D8'd it, we wire brushed it. It should be as clean as I can possibly get it. So let's see how this next pass welds. That pass there, it welded good. I mean, it's clean. There's no pepper in the puddle. It wet in good. You know, I'm real happy with that. So I guess I'll go over my settings with you guys. I ran 125 Hertz. We kept the balance at 30 the whole time. I know somebody will say, well, why don't you just turn up the balance and mess with that and, you know, try to get your cleaning zone a little bit better. You can. But what I found is you know, 30% seems to work really good on this prime weld machine. I know some of the old transformer machines, you know, you can turn that balance down with pure tungsten and really clean really well with it. I found that all the inverter machines I've ran with, when you start getting below 30% electrode positive, it seems like it just kind of gets a little weird. So 30% is normally what I always run. I'm between 25 and 30. You know, if I start getting closer to 40, it seems like it starts really deteriorating the tungsten fast. But that's how I'd go about this. That's normally how I clean it, you know what I mean? So I hope this video helps somebody. If anybody's got any ideas for videos I could do, please reach out. I'm kind of running out of ideas and I haven't had a lot of projects going on here at home. Should have some stuff hopefully coming up here soon for Apex Diesel, but we're just kind of waiting to see what they got coming. But everybody like and subscribe and have a great day.